Hello and welcome to Alexandra Creates. I'm Alexandra. I have an excess of herbs, so I decided to do a little harvesting and save these for future use. So first this is oregano. I do have more of this, but I thought I would just start with just this little bit of bunch here. And what I'm going to do is just take these off the little oregano from the stems because we're just going to tie these up and hang them out to dry, so to speak. So I have oregano and a little bit of rosemary, and I have a ton of basil, as you'll see in a minute. Now the basil, we're going to save that by freezing it in olive oil. Now a lot of my recipes, when it calls for herbs, it's usually with olive oil, whether it's a dressing or sauteing. So that'll be great for the future. And I've never done this before as far as freezing the herbs, the basil. But I read this online somewhere and I thought, what a great idea, because like I said, I have a ton of basil. So I just have some twine here. And I'm going to wrap this around, and I have a loop that I'm going to keep intact there. So then all we have to do is hang this up, and then this will dry. And then I will have this for future use. So basically all you need to do, as far as your supplies, you need to have some twine and a hook to hang this up. Okay, so that's the oregano. And then I have a little bit of rosemary, not much. That's not growing as exponential as my other herbs. So again, I'll just remove that little bit from the bottom. Save that for a recipe that I'm using later on. And then I have this twine, and the twine you can pick up anywhere. Any craft supply store would have this. Even your grocery store has twine in their little tool section. Oops. All right, there we go. The little hook to hang it up. Okay. So now we will move on to this basil. I have harvested all of this basil, and that's not all of it. So what I'm going to do is I've rinsed all this off. I'm just going to pick the stems off of here, and then we'll move on to putting it in our little forms with some olive oil after we chop it all up, and sticking it in our freezer. So I will do this, pick this all off, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I've plucked this basil off of the stems, and I have all these little leaves we need to cut up, and I have a lot of basil. So I'm gonna make a tomato galette this week. So I thought I would save some of this because it's gonna be going into the galette. So I just have a little antique creamer here. I'm gonna fill this with water, and then I'll stick this in my refrigerator, and I'll have that for use later on this week. All right, so I have all this basil here that I've cleaned and patted dry. And we're just gonna cut this up like I would for any recipe. Just chop it roughly. And then I have these silicone molds that I actually got for some soap making that I haven't even used yet. So I thought I will use these and see how these little forms will work. This basil smells so good. If you do not grow your own herbs, I highly recommend doing so. It's definitely inexpensive to do rather than going to the store and spending $5 on a little bunch that will, usually for me, they were always going bad when I would buy them at the store because I couldn't use them all in time. This way we can grow it, and if we don't use it, just preserve it. My daughter lives in a small apartment, and she just has some little pots that she made and put them out on her little porch area, and they are growing fantastically. I planted 2 basil plants this year. I probably could have only gotten away with 1 because they are just absolutely booming. But like I said, I found this recipe online, or this DIY online, on how to save it because I didn't want to grow it and then just see it go to waste. So hopefully if this works, I'll get 3 plants next year so I can really load up. All right, almost done here. All right, so next I'll bring in, these are the forms I have. I have 3 of these, so we'll see what we can get here. I have an extra virgin olive oil. And I think actually what we'll do is go ahead and put these in the form. I don't know, maybe that's about 2 tablespoons. If your recipe calls for so much. So that's too much of a stem. And then I would put these on a sheet pan in your freezer, and then once they freeze, you can pop them out. Maybe put them in a little Ziploc so they're not taking up all your space in the freezer. Okay, so then we'll pour the olive oil over them, fill these vessels up. And I'm going up almost all the way to the top. Okay, so we'll just press those down. All right, and that's it. And then I'll stick these in the freezer. And then next time I have a recipe to make, I have fresh basil. I have 2 more of these vessels to fill, so I'll finish up the rest of this later. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up, comment, and subscribe for future videos. That really helps me out in YouTube land. I have items used in my video linked in the description below, so check that out and have a joyful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.